So, to Josh's point, when we met, one of the we were in different places in life. We lived in different cities, and as we continued getting to know each other and talking about what our dreams and desires were as it related to family, and we were on the same page that I have always wanted to be a mother. As time went on, I knew that I wanted to share that experience with Josh because he's such an incredible father. And so after we were married, we decided that we would start planning to expand our family. And we conceived a little girl, Corey Rose, in 2024. And unfortunately, we lost Corey when we were 6 months pregnant with her. I think it's understandable to say that our lives were changed because of that experience. But what I think is most important to share is that our daughter's life and her death had so much purpose. It was easy when we lost her to, quite frankly, want nothing to do with God. Because we prayed for this child. She was an answered prayer. So to go through losing her was like, okay, well, we hear all the time that God is able and he'll make all things right and all the things. And I remember I just kept thinking, but he wasn't willing. He was able. He is able. And he was in that moment, for whatever reason, he didn't choose to keep her alive. I see it now in hindsight that God's always been pursuing me. I wasn't listening to worship music. I wasn't, and that's all my entire pregnancy. Every morning I had my playlist on. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't praying. And I said to God, we've got beef. I'm mad at you. And so I have nothing to say to you right now because you knew my heart and you told me that what your promise was, and you reneged. So I don't know what to say to you. And in that time, God used a Muslim woman. She said, in the Quran, we have a saying that God won't put more on you than you can bear. And I told her, yeah, we've got that too. Like we say that too. A Hindu man who said, Karen, I know how important your faith is to you. And I beg you, lean on your faith because this is the only thing that's going to carry you through. Even looking back on it, God had my community in the wings waiting for me. And so even while I wasn't talking to him, he kept speaking to me. And he used different people to do that. And ultimately, he gave us a family and community at Quest that we could have never even imagined. And we have this family now that, again, back to the purpose in her life. Before Corey, I complained about how unhappy I was in North Carolina because I didn't have anyone. And God used our daughter to open up doors for us that we could have never done on our own.
I remember just the day that we found out we were pregnant, and it was just so much joy. And with that, of course, with that excitement, naturally, as the process moves forward, you want to tell those close to you, right? You want to tell friends, you want to tell family, you want to spread the good word of the life that you and your wife has made that's about to enter this world. And that goes on from the time that we find out we're pregnant, up to month 6, where you only have 3 months to go. So when you think about that, when you think about almost being across the finish line and getting cut short before that checkered flag is waved, it can absolutely be traumatizing. What my wife said is exactly right. We didn't want to listen to gospel music when it happened. I'm someone that is consistent in reading the word, consistent about my prayers. I'm consistent about just trying to live life the right way. So when you go through time and you know that you're trying to live life the right way, and a life is taken from you in that manner, you question, well, why am I doing it in the first place? The people that were around us had a coworker, and one of the things that I was struggling with was, man, like I read this Bible every single day, man. I pray to God every single day. And in my obedience, in my faithfulness, somehow, some way, we don't have our daughter. I need an answer because I just didn't understand why. And in that time where I didn't really understand it, he said something to me that really helped, just changed my, perspective. And he said, man, I get it. It's hard. He said, but have you ever thought about that the mornings that you put into the word, the mornings that you put into the prayers, the nights, the evenings, all the work that you've been doing over the course of this time, have you ever thought about the fact that this could have been God preparing you for a moment like this? And that hit home, because a lot of the times when we're walking this walk, we don't think about the preparation that's needed in order to deal with what we're still grieving 7 months down the road.
We are in our wilderness, and God has spoken to us as we move through it. We're not on the other side of everything is perfect and, hard days don't come. But the way God has used this season to speak to us, because when your heart is broken and all you can do is rely on him, he speaks louder, and he's pulling us through this season. And to that point, it's without him, I don't think we could sit here and tell you this story. I think what's important is we were also willing to be vulnerable. Relationship only works when there's an exchange happening. And because we were willing to lay our grief on the table, I was embarrassed, ashamed even. I felt like a failure in that my entire life, there has been a direct correlation between I want it, I work for it, it happens. Nothing came easy, but I did the work, I did the right things, and then it all lined up. And to feel like my body failed me and my child. We had to go back and tell everyone she passed away. And then to stand in front of, at the time, people we didn't know, and all I could do was cry if one asked how I was doing. And so one of the things I learned is when people ask me today, how are you? I tell the truth. If you ask the question, you better be ready for the answer, because it might not be, I'm great, God is good. It might be, I'm struggling today. He knew before all of this happened, the fact that we were pregnant when we started attending Quest. It was the month after we found out. He knew that this is going to be hard, but I've put you in a place where I've prepared hearts for yours. And everyone's gone through something. None of us are perfect. In our pursuit of love and kindness and being the church, right? We were able to experience all of the best things that the church has to offer, but we've had to take that first step.
When we think about my wife saying that our daughter had a purpose in her life and in her death, it isn't a coincidence that we're talking about this around Easter and the purpose that Jesus had in his life and in his death. It's one of those things to where it's not easy. It will never be easy. But one thing I do know is the fact that James 1, it tells us to count it all joy when we face tough times, when we face moments like this, because of what it produces. When you think about the difficult moments and you think about the work that has to be put into it in order to get through it, then you think about the fact that when you make it out on the other side, you've persevered, you've made it through. And now you can share your story and you can tell others about the goodness and the faithfulness of God. And no matter how we view it, no matter what the perspective is, the reality of it is all of us have not only gone through something, but all of us will continue to go through things. But the thing is, God is that bridge between what you go through and how you'll get through it. And the fact of the matter is if we can lean on him through tough times, if we can be in front of, the congregation telling our story like this, then just think about what you can do as you get through your difficult moments. Because before this, we were looking for a church, we were praying, we were doing the things, but I remember being in church that day and approaching Justin, and he called over Raynor. And in that instance, I gained more community and my wife gained more community. And ever since that day, we've been surrounded by community. And that community, this community, the community at Quest, is the community that helped build us up through the most difficult moments of our life. And we're beyond just grateful for it.